We'll start again. LR&M Construction Proprietary Limited is one of the state's top civil earth-moving companies. Had a humble beginning after the close of World War II, when the state was taking steps to return to normality. There was one Lionel Chamberlain, who during the war worked hard as a market gardener, country shopkeeper and log hauler in various locations before moving to Gawler, where his wife's parents lived. There was a building revival at the time, and Lionel saw the opportunity to supply material to the trade. He located a sand deposit from which he supplied sand and gravel for his own home. And word got around, I think, and next thing he was supplying all the builders in the area. He was the first supplier in the town, albeit in a small way, as his sole equipment was a WTL Bedford tipper, and all loading was done by hand with a shovel, which was not the quickest. Good for your fitness, so I imagine. The business expanded to an extent that the 3 trucks and a basic Nuffield front-end loader were required, so that would have been a relief for everyone, having an hydraulic machine. Like many of that era, Lionel was a hard toiler, but bookkeeping was not his forte. Initially, his wife Marion attempted to keep track of his work until Lionel's son John, who was still at school at the time, became the bookkeeper. Okay, I made a mistake on that previous loader. It wasn't hydraulic. It must have been an old tip loader. So after that, by this time a hydraulic loader had been purchased and work carried out to include demolition, block levelling, site clearing, in addition to the supply of loam and sand, gravel and the bricks that were carted for 2 manufacturers. One I think was Hallett Bricks, and I'm not quite sure who the other one was.
Krieg's at Newry.
Krieg's at Newry, okay, of course. A big one in the Newry. When he finished school, young John became a market gardener for a few years, whilst occasionally assisting Lionel in the contracting area. He also continued to keep the accounts. As John preferred the contracting field to that of market gardening, he soon joined his father, then operating as LR&M Chamberlain, an unofficial partnership. Equipment at this stage had increased to 4 trucks, 2 tractors, 2 tractor loaders and 6 employees. At about this time, banks, which were financed most new homes, were insisting that pre-mixed concrete now be used for foundations of all new houses. This had a dramatic effect on the volume of work, so John decided that another form of employment must be found, and he chose civil engineering as a preferred area. A new company was formed in November, founded on November the 14th, 1966, with the name LR&M Contractors and Engineers Proprietary Limited, being derived from the initials of the 3 founding directors, as Paul said before, the L from Lionel, R from Ronald, John, as he's better known, Chamberlain, and M from Miriam Chamberlain. During the company's early years, the main type of contract works and contracts were with the Public Buildings Department, later known as SA Department of Housing and Construction. The first 2 major contracts were Sandy Creek and Lyndock Primary Schools, both earthworks and access roads. And there's probably photos of John on the drop coming up shortly. After these came, one of the first common effluent schemes undertaken in South Australia was at Udunda, which LR&M won. And it was a financial disaster. However, the company learned a lot from this experience and became a specialist in this field. And by 1986, LR&M had completed 10 complete townships, as well as many extensions to existing stead schemes all over South Australia. The company branched into subdivisional work in 1975, also becoming specialists in this field. There's probably a subdivision coming up. When SA Land Commission was formed, LR&M undertook 7 of these projects virtually at one time, which was a major effort for this company. During this time, we also continued to do private work for various public building department projects. Also in 1975, Chamberlain Investments Proprietary Limited was founded on the 5th of December. This became a parent holding company. This company now owns shares in other companies that specialise in residential subdivisions and carries out many joint ventures with other developers who require the expertise of the LR&M group. At this stage, the company employed 32 people, had 41 items of plant, and turnover increased to 1.58 million. As there was a downturn in the subdivision market due to the volume of allotments for sale, the company had to look for alternative work in other areas. And it was during this period, Edinburgh Air Base extension, apron extension tenders were called, and the company was successful. This was a major contract at the time involving technical expertise, strict specifications, and heavy penalties for any failure. It was pleasing to note, we've got the RAAF pictures up now, it was pleasing to note that the company's performance on this contract was so successful they were awarded the next additional 5 contracts in the same area. Towards the end of the project, we entered into contracts at Stony Point, which I think has been changed to Port Bonython, a new liquids terminal plant near Whyalla. That was quite a major project as well. I haven't got pictures of that one. Following this, the company later, because of the previous job, this led the company to tender successfully on various works in the Moomba gas fields for Santos. And that's all because of what happened at Stony Point. They liked our guys and our work. 1979, it was decided to shorten the company name from LR&M Contractors and Engineers Proprietary Limited to just LR&M Constructions Proprietary Limited. This change was officially certified on the 3rd of October 1979. The next major project, as you can see on the screen, was the North East Busway, or as it's better known, the O-Bahn Busway. I've got another sheet I've got to talk about it. It's got a little bit to talk about it. The opening of the second stage of the O-Bahn Busway between Paradise and Tea Tree Plaza interchanges saw an end of LR&M's involvement in construction works associated with this project, spanning a period of 6 years. When the South Australian Government decided to build Australia's first guided busway, engineers, contractors were faced with a challenge of incorporating a totally new transport concept into a sensitive and urban river environment. Not only were they faced with designing and constructing the world's longest and fastest guided O-Bahn busway, they had to coordinate the planning, design and construction with the River Torrens flood mitigation scheme and the development of a major linear park that included a bikeway network. The busway route extends 12 kilometres between Gilberton and the Tea Tree Plaza shopping centre at Modbury, following a corridor defined back in 1962. For the first 6 kilometres, the route generally follows the widening and sometimes narrow Torrens River Valley through the inner suburbs, crossing the river 10 times and bisecting several major roads from Darley Road, Paradise Interchange, from Darley Road, Paradise Interchange, the route leaves the valley, traversing through undeveloped undulating corridor in the outer suburbs. The first major contract undertaken by LR&M Constructions was the alignment works between Park Terrace and Stevens Terrace, Walkerville. This included excavation, removal to sites along the O-Bahn alignment of approximately 45,000 cubic metres, construction of crib walling, which is quite evident in the photos, to Park Terrace tunnel approach ramps, off-ramp, stormwater drainage and pavement construction. Extensive earthworks and landscaping works were included in the finishing contract. In 1988-89, LR&M Constructions completed the alignment works between Smart Road and Smart Creek, the car parking either sides of the track, and the site works for the Tea Tree Plaza busway interchange and associated car park for the shopping centre. So that was almost like a job in itself for Tea Tree Plaza, the interchange. When the sensitive nature of the river environment was of paramount importance, The landscape design assumed a high profile, impacting the busway route and levels as well as flood mitigation to ensure the resultant parks were able to be enjoyed by all the public. The Tea Tree Plaza interchange required excavation of 120,000 cubic metres of in-situ material that had to be disposed of off-site and included stormwater drainage, underground services, pavement works, both flexible and concrete block, curbing and more for that beautiful crib waller. That's enough on O-Bahn.
Am I keeping up?
I don't know, am I keeping up? I'm not boring you on this.
No, am I keeping up on the photos?
You're fine. Okay. Now, I'm not quite sure. By June 1985, the company employed 78 people, owned over 80 major items of plant, and turnover was 8 million. In 1987, LR&M constructed the Roxby tailing storage dam in Roxby Downs for Western Mining Corporation, as well as a number of residential subdivisions all over South Australia. Also, various road reconstructions around Moonta Kadina area for the District Council of Kadina. So there's a few photos, that's the Roxby tailings dam. 1988 saw us in Gawler building a new waste transfer station out at Williston. That's when the dumping changed from dumping to waste transfer, sorting and all that kind of thing began. And we also, other work in Gawler, we began the primary works between Anglevale Road and the trolling track for the Gawler Bypass project for the Highways Department. So I think there's photos of that. Got a short spill on Gawler Bypass now. Between beginning of March 1988, LR&M began the construction of 2 bridges associated earthworks and stormwater drainage. Earthworks included importation of excess of 150,000 cubic metres. They could have got that from the Tea Tree Plaza if they wanted. So they had to import 150,000 cubic metres of fill. The bridge works were subcontracted to Kev Rowlatt Constructions from the Barossa Valley. Completion February 1989, and the contract value of 3.336 million. The next section is the Gawler Bypass pavement and bridge works associated between Anglevale Road and 2 Wells Road. LR&M's second contract this time consisted of only 1 bridge, earthworks, pavements, electrical reticulation and lighting, stormwater drainage. The bulk of the pavement was processed through the company's mobile pug mill, which we'll see pictures of. That had a capacity of 200 tonnes per hour and was placed using LR&M's paving machines, one being an ABG Titan 280. And the bridge works this time were subcontracted to Tocket Constructions Proprietary Limited. And the main feature of this bridge, you'll notice, is the support in the middle. It's like 4 fingers, and every time you drive on the Gawler Bypass you can't help but not notice it. It's a very unusual bridge, and it's the only one I've ever seen like that. We commenced in 1989, completion 1990, and the contract value of that one was a tad over 7 million, so it was a bigger stage, even though it only had 1 bridge. That's the bridge, yep.
What did you say about the fingers?
The things in the middle of the supports.
Oh.
See like that?
Lovely.
Is that a unique design, is it?
It's not very common, that's for sure. Okay, where was I up to here? Okay, got to the transfer station. Oh, a quick touch on LR&M Queensland. LR&M Construction's Q for Queensland, in brackets, was founded on the 5th of July 1988 in Queensland to give LR&M an opportunity to expand and Queensland was the chosen state. The original office was located in Waco. We stayed in Waco, that's the cutting of the ribbon. A bit of a dusty day. It was, yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Just after this, you'll see the first office in Queensland. That's the first office in Waco. And that actually had a paint job because we had a fire. And when your office catches fire, you lose a lot of gear. And they managed to work out of an ACCA hut at the back until it was repaired and repainted. And it looked good. That was a fresh paint. It wasn't totally devastated. It was just pretty ordinary inside, and all the computers and stuff were gone. Anyway, after a while, we'd outgrown that site and we moved to a second location in a place called Emmett, which is closer to the airport, I believe. And LR&M was very successful and growing for a number of years, and even surpassing LR&M South Australia in 1 year when we had a very wet winter, which was good but a bit disheartening for us SA guys to be beaten by Queenslanders, even though some of their guys are up there anyway. Queensland had some trouble in its later years, and sadly the board decided, due to losses, it couldn't keep going, and it's a hard place to work over there. So we decided to shut down Queensland with a heavy heart and bring gear back and people back to SA. And I think Dean Ash, that used to work for us, he stayed up there, and I think a few of our guys might have gone to Dean Ash. LR&M itself, so the next photo, there we go. LR&M's original location in Ryde Street, Evanston. That's it there. That's the mechanics workshop to the left, and machine storage, and we had dirt gravel yard, which was generally mud in winter. And the other side of the right-hand side of that shed, Miriam Lionel's house was at the front, but at the back of that was like a brick, used to be a car park shed thing, storage shed. I think that was turned into the offices, and it was all bricked, and it was all right, but it was pretty small, I can imagine, compared to today's standards. That's the back, some of the machines, and Lionel had the SO outlet, and that's what the brick building is for, all the drums of oils and things like that for SO. I can see the SO sticker up there in the middle. Anyway, LR&M outgrew Evanston, and John, I think, had some land at Smithfield. We're looking at Smithfield, and someone showed John Calton Road, the old John Doran dealers, and it had good potential, so that's where we moved. Oh, I missed Calton Road.
It's not there.
Oh,
Further up.
that's all right, because we've jumped. Just before we moved to Calton Road, we did the Barra Morgan Road. We'll get on to Barra Morgan Road. I should be watching, shouldn't I? Slide. Doesn't matter. Okay, Barra Morgan Road. From January 1996 to February 1998, LR&M progressively reconstructed and sealed the last 65 kilometres of unsealed road between Barra and Morgan in the state's mid-north. Stage 1 construction was a 20-kilometre section between Mount Mary Road and the Gums. It was built in 1996 at a cost of $3.2 million. And Stage 2 was the final 45-kilometre section. That commenced in January 1997 and was completed by February 1998. Stage 2 was completed within budget and 6 months ahead of schedule at a cost of $11.5 million. Stage 2 construction consisted of two distinct parts, namely a 15-kilometre section through the Borough and Escarpment and a 30-kilometre section through relatively flat, low-lying plains. Construction of the 15-kilometre section included extensive rock excavation, major culvert crossing installations and horizontal road realignments to avoid damage to the heritage-listed buildings on the outskirts of Borough. The 30-kilometre section was relatively straightforward, with only minor logistical problems associated with material and water haulage occurring. Water had to be sourced from two locations for this project. For Stage 1, contract carriers carried the water from the Murray River at Morgan. Stage 2, it was hauled from the Borough Mines Lake site in Borough, and it was dropped en route at various locations in temporary plastic-lined dams at regular intervals. I think we used to call them turkey's nests. And of course they'd pump the water out of there into smaller tandem water trucks and then use it on construction. Some interesting features of the project was there was pygmy blue-tongued lizards there, which are very rare. So they had to be relocated before we could build the road. The remote location of the project made on-site crushing of quarry materials a more viable option. So that's why you've probably seen in the photos, the on-site crushing. So we had to make borough pits, crush your own rubble. Two crushing pits were established, one 50 kilometres north of Borough. The mobile quarries produced over 250,000 tonnes of crushed rock for the project. And due to the amount of testing required, a NADA registered testing lab was set up on site. And a new quality system was used, which was a bit clunky at the start, that TSA wanted, which used to be Department of Transport. To ensure the success of this project, LR&M invested heavily in the purchase of new equipment. This included graders, excavators and an elevating scraper and new loaders that were fitted with load right scales to measure how much they're loading in trucks from the crusher. And with all the new machines, there was very minimal downtime, productivity was high, and in the end, a final road surface with good rideability was achieved. The official opening on Sunday, 29th of March 1998, was done with the unveiling of the plaque by the Minister of Transport, Urban and Planning, Honourable Dinah Laidlaw, MLC, who applauded the work of LR&M. Morgan Road. Okay. Getting there, guys, we're getting there. Okay. Oop. Back to, there we are, Calton Road. So LR&M moved from Ride Street, Epsom, to Calton Road, and the John Doran building. Being Holden dealers, it used to be white with red signs, and it looked pretty ghastly. So you see in the next slide, we had it painted and kind of the stonework repointed and tried to find a bit more heritage type colours. So it looks a lot better than it did, and now it's been done up again, obviously, as shops and whatnot. It looks even better because they carried it on and fixed the archway over the centre, because the whole building was as one now instead of separated. LR&M had outgrown the Gawler depot, and getting large machines and vehicles in and out of Gawler was becoming rather tedious. So decision was made to move to Roseworthy. It was chosen because it was close to Gawler, and Gawler would soon be far more accessible to Adelaide and other locations with the North Expressway under construction and later the Northern Connector project. So after settling in Roseworthy, there's the Roseworthy building going up. After settling in Roseworthy, LR&M again increased size and complexity of its contracts, still working on various department transport roads, such as Gorge and Silks Road intersection upgrade, Local Freight Route upgrade, Northern Connector project, Dutton Bridge replacement, Golden Grove Park and Ride, as well as many others, including the Adelaide Airport taxi rank, or taxi drop-off. It's got two names for some reason. The Anglevale Super School, which is called Riverside, I think. The State Sports Park down at Jets Cross, and as well as always various subdivisions at Bluestone, Mount Barker, Playford Alive at Monopara, and Angus Views at Anguston. That's the Adelaide Airport job. Oh.
That's on pair.
Don't know, I said that.
Start
Sorry,
pedaling.
that's the Adelaide Airport taxi rank. Just trying to see what the next slide is. Must be another job coming up. Here we go. And I didn't print that one off, so we'll wing that one. Right. That one's the Amcor glass bottle factory. It's the first big brownfield site to be constructed for many years in South Australia. And it hadn't rained for about 9 or 10 months. The day we signed the contract, the heavens opened up. And we built that with Leighton Contractors. And you think it's a flat site, but down below, because of the glass manufacturing, you've got to have somewhere for the stuff to drop. So a lot of it's underground as well. Hence the excavations.
That's right.
It was a tough job. It was priced pretty tightly, but it was a good job, and it was local and made the news. I think being the first brownfield site to be developed.
Who's that up to his knee?
George Boucher.
Is he in mud, is he?
I think he's standing in a bit of a hollow. It looks like he's bogged, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, we've got machines getting bogged in the next couple of jobs.
Keep going.
Yeah, just keep flicking through that one. I'll get a bit carried away with my photos sometimes.
It's good, I like photos.
Oh, and that's the Lockhill. Here we go. Stop there for a tick. The Lockhill trial pit, or coal test pit, was for the Electricity Trust of South Australia. It was designed by Coffey and Partners. The site was selected as a trial pit because of the brown coal deposit and the unusual properties of soft brown coal, unconsolidated overburden and groundwater issues. It posed a number of hydrological and geotechnical questions. So a feasibility study indicated the proposed normal dragline method wouldn't work, but it might have been viable. So they wanted to test the batters and the slopes and how groundwater reacted.
What's a drag line?
That's the old kind of like front bucket.
Oh.
Big old things with like a crane thing, the cables that drag a big bucket. That's what I normally use in the big coal excavation things before, back in the old days. The trial pit, okay. I've already said that about. Feasibility studies indicated the proposed dragline method of overburden removal was viable but economically sensitive to both high wall and dump batter angles. The trial pit dewatering system simulated a full-scale mine site dewatering system and included 10 pump wells, 20 drainage wells and 400 monitoring instruments. Performance of the system was most satisfactory with the application of vacuum and pumping bores. Dewatering and depressurisation to predicted levels was achieved in the time allowed. So in May 1988, the project was awarded the 1987 Engineering Award by the Institution of Engineers of Australia SA Division. And just out of interest, the coal in that site is located about 30 to 36 metres deep, overlaid with sand layers, silty sand layers and hindmarsh clay and even some gypsum. That's Lockhill. Quite a bit of excavation. And that's the one you turn the pumps off, the water starts coming up.
Is that groundwater?
Yeah, it's groundwater coming up. There was a similar one out here at Bowman's. Oh, next big project.
Is that fresh water? Or how good's the water?
Oh, it's a little bit saline, I reckon. I wouldn't drink it for that one. The next project, the well-known project in this area, I mentioned the Northern Connector. You see by the thing we had Zone 1 and Zone 2. Originally Zone 1 was by others and they changed their mind and pulled out, so we got awarded that because we're already there doing Zone 2 anyway. So it made our job bigger. And they had Capcon in the middle, and then Lend-Lease, the main contractor, did the last bit and the little bit up at Zone 4 at the top there in the blue. It's got a bit of a spill on the Northern Connector. And 2017 to 2020. The $867 million Northern Connector, it says here it is a 6-lane, 15.5 kilometre motorway, providing a vital link and commuter link, a freight link and commuter link between the Northern Expressway, South Road Superway and the Port River Expressway. This project focused on delivering economic benefits to the local South Australian community, and it created 480 full-time equivalent jobs each year during construction. The Australian government has committed, well, 694 million, and the South Australian government 173 million. So Fed's put in 694, the local SA 173. The project opened to traffic on Saturday, the 7th of March 2020. Lend-Lease were appointed in June 1916 to design and construct the new non-stop motorway. It goes on about the wall at Regency Park, and yeah, I won't go into that, that's too much.
Is that the bridge with the Monaro on it? You know how you drive on the...
That does come up. That's That's the Waterloo Corner Bridge that we built. It's one of our bridges. So we didn't sublet that out, we built it ourselves with our guys. But obviously we had, employees that knew how to build bridges, so that helped. And I like the idea of having our containers and our machines working all around it. Makes for good photos. And the funny thing about that bridge, we laid the first I-beam up the top and the wind came up, so we had to stop work. And the only time we managed to do it afterwards, we had to go build the rest of the top of the bridge at night when the wind wasn't so high. Even though on the ground you think, oh, there's no breeze today. As soon as you get up high on a bridge, suddenly there's wind. So it changed things a little bit for us. The road, that's the noise wall, another part of the contract we were awarded. There was quite a bit of work involved in those too, as you can see. Setting those up in large concrete panels. And also part of the project, we built the bike path each side, and we ended up building it from the end of the job right to the Port Adelaide. So it made it quite a long bike path.
A lot of that fill come from Waterloo, didn't it? From a little tiny quarry at Waterloo.
Oh, some of it may have. I think they got a fair bit from the, the Resource Code Mountain or whatever it is, one of those mountains out there. A fair bit come from one of them as well. And I know
there was big stockpile.
there used to be a big stockpile. That's right.
To the job that we loaded out from.
Correct. Good to see you.
Is that the same bridge?
That's the same bridge. Yeah, that's the Waterloo Corner Bridge. Yeah, there used to be a big stockpile. You used to drive past all the time when you went left of the Monaro Bridge and the old way. Yeah. And you see towards the end, you'll see the Monaro Bridge. That's laying the concrete pavement. And they actually asphalt it first before they put the concrete on.
Why did they do concrete on that bit? Is that just like an autobahn or?
I think it's for longevity, and I think they were looking, originally they were saying it's going to help out BHP or out of the steel, but I didn't see much steel going to it. I don't know if it's got, maybe it's fibres, steel fibres. But that was the original idea. But it was all mixed on site, and it was tipped out of tip trucks, which is a little bit unusual. So it's an impressive job.
Bloody handy for Gawler people, I tell you.
Oh,
You know,
no
you'd be in the
stoplights.
city in 28 minutes or something like that. It's incredible.
Yeah. There got some good photos from the drones.
Are you the drone pilot?
No. I've got a few in the Apex Club, but I'm not one of them yet. You don't have to trust me with your drones. The shared path that joins makes a total of 43 kilometres of continuous shared user path between Gawler via the Stuart O'Grady Bikeway and the Port Adelaide Bikeway. So that's Bridge 13, which is the one, the other Waterloo corner's further down. And that's the first one. Monaro Bridge is over here, and this one if you go up to, if you go into Burton. I'm not sure if we built that or Lendlease built that. We've got so many photos of it, it looks like we built it, but I'm not sure if we did. I thought it took too long, so I thought it was Lendlease, but that's just what I thought. Next job. The Barker Inlet Wetlands. How long's my spill on? Spill's a little bit long on this one too. I'll try and keep it shorter. The Barker Inlet Wetlands involved the construction of intricately designed network of ponds and mounds covering a total area of 172 hectares to form a large flood mitigation system and control wetlands environment. The wetlands were also designed to provide suitable detention times to reduce contaminant and nutrient loads prior to discharging into North Arm Creek and the Barker Inlet, and provide a diverse habitat of flora and fauna. And obviously the Barber Inlet's where you've got mangroves. Mangroves where the fish breed, so you didn't want to have crappy water going from Adelaide straight out there, damaging our food for the fish. LR&M Constructions began work on the site in August 1994. Still saying it's not happy.
I don't know what's going on here. We've got power and everything. Yeah, it's plugged in.
It should be happy, shouldn't it?
All signal searching. Why is it doing that? Jake, it can't be. It's on power. We're missing our usual cameraman. Unless, oh, that can't be it. Oh, this is hopeless. What's going on? What would it be? HDMI?
No, it'd be a power pack. Two volt plug.
It's interval time, if anyone wants to drink.
Yeah, well, this is where you should get cup of tea, but we haven't even got cup of tea. This isn't it, is it? Could be. I don't think it is.
No. This is not able.
Is this it? Plug that in.
This looks like it.
Here we go.
Is that one a non-power one? I think that provides power.
Where's that power cord?
Is that going to there?
Yeah. Sorry about the delay. Hold that. Thank you very much there, Larry. Here we go. I've got that on. There we go. All right. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks,
That
Les.
was slow, yeah.
Get the man a job.
We in the right spot?
Yeah,
That's the bathroom, yeah.
that's a Barber Inlet. Yeah. You just go back a couple if you want, then go forwards again. That's the trying conditions we had on site. She was a little bit soft out there, to say the least. And
Was it toxic soil or?
It was not really. It was all the crap was dumped on top. Lots of concrete, steel, rubbish. Had to be cleaned up, and I assume a lot of it was recycled. And stuff that couldn't be moved was buried under mounds, so you don't see it ever again.
Hmm.
And the new road went through the middle, which is rather convenient. And like I said, it was 172 hectares. It was about 170,000 cubes of topsoil that had to be moved around and replaced. 505,000 cubic metres of two on site. Construction of haul roads, service of old concrete channels. There was subsoil and topsoil gypsum conditioning. And we had to excavate limestone grit from an existing salt evaporation pond. And because of the salt evaporation pond had to be decommissioned, we had to build another evaporation pond called a K pond it was called. And there might be photos, I can't remember if I put photos of that in there or not. Looks like I didn't. Okay. Anyway, it was a really good job, and I think it may have won an engineering award and also won the EARTH award, the CCFSA EARTH award for the year for a project over $5 million. So it was a good result. So now we go back to a bit of a labour job, the local freight access upgrade. That was McConnell Dow were the main contractor of that. I say they're the main contractor, but we done all the work. for them. I think it was an $80 million contract, no, $14 million contract. Our contract with them was just over 11 million, so they had a little piece of the pie, we had most of the pie. The works included a lot of road and shoulder widening, curve widening, many upgrades at intersections, and both bridge and culvert widening and strengthening. Due to the nature of the project, and the roads in particular, traffic control was required for every day of the full duration of the project. At one stage, through a windy section of the hills, I think we had either 8 or 10 lots of stoplights in a row. And I tried driving it just to see our guys, and it peeved me off no end. So imagine how the residents felt, or people had to use the road felt. Yeah, so our portion was just over 11 million, and it was a hell of a lot of concrete and structures, head walls. And it goes Palmer, Ton Kilo, Loberthal, and some of the works you don't even know it was happening underneath you. You'd be driving through the hills of Palmer, where the big rocks are. We had to shift a few of those big rocks, some about 30 tonnes, I believe, to make it wider, put up new guardrails. And as you went down the hill, you went over a culvert. That culvert had a new culvert pushed underneath it, and then the void between the two culverts filled with concrete to add extra strength to handle the freight. And I know going up to Mount Barker quite a bit lately. When I go through the back hills of Adelaide, and I turn left to go to Woodside, there's a bridge there that we didn't touch. And when you come in, there's a truck coming the other way, you breathe in. It's too narrow. They should have threw one extra widening and it would have been good. Won't do too much on that one. That's where they pushed the things. Oh, that was the, they won't put them on skids and skidded them under. So culvert inside a culvert. And that was in the Vaki Bridge down by the Woodside Army Barracks, kind of turn off, and is it Burton Winery or something out that way? They wide and put a new bridge in there.
I'd see the graffiti artist got to work.
Oh, that's the old bikeway bridge for the what's the bikeway up there called? It's not Stuart O'Grady, it's Annameers, is it? Might be Annameers bikeway up there. Bikeways everywhere. How are we going for time, Paul? Am I pushing my luck still?
Still okay? Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I took that photo because I like our logo. And these little side ups, half size shipping containers, just for storing tools to hopefully prevent theft. That's it.
LR&M sign again.
LR&M sign again. Okay, that's in that. Parafield Airport. Okay, Parafield Airport upgrading. The company's previous experience in constructing civil airport work was a factor in us winning this major contract for the Federal Airports Corporation in January 1992. Involved reconstruction and sealing of new runways and taxiways, as well as all associated stormwater facilities. Decommissioning of old strips also formed part of the contract. Runway construction again was achieved by using a ABG 280 paving machine. And then that successfully laid 1,600 tonnes of material per day, with very fine tolerances being achieved by using sonic tracking software. The completion of the largest capital program ever undertaken at Parafield Airport, makes it one of the best general airports in Australia and the busiest. It also meant year-round use of runways was now possible, and an end to take-off and landing restrictions for safety reasons during the wet weather. Today, the Parafield facility, 20 kilometres north of Adelaide, continues to house one of the most respected professional pilot training schools in the world for commercial airlines from overseas, as well as Qantas and other private operators. That's Parafield Airport. We're getting there. I didn't have a lot of photos. Another project that's very South Australian. Southern Expressway Stage 2. The $76.5 million Southern Expressway Stage 2 project opened on Sunday, the September 2001 by Honourable John Olson and also Honourable Diana Laidlaw, Minister for Transport, Urban Planning and Construction. Construction of the expressway, which commenced in January 2000, was carried out by joint venture partners LR&M Constructions and Built Environs. Landscape mounds, wetland construction, architecturally designed pedestrian and road overpasses, and aesthetically pleasing retaining walls all contributed to making this section of the Southern Expressway a landmark Australian road. I've got in brackets here. Some people are more likely from interstate will think it's a bit of a joke that SA had to build a one-way expressway. I believe the main probable reason for that was South Australia was broke at the time, following the state bait debacle. I think we offered to do a bit of work while we're there, and they refused to throw any more money at it. We said we'll just do another bridge and leave it for later and things like that. But the government wouldn't be in it. And I think recently they did duplicate it. And originally it was 76.5, and I think that to do it again was just over 400 million. So we could have saved them a few bob. Not to worry. The 12-kilometre section of the expressway from Ranella to Hackham incorporates entry and exit points at Sheriff's Road and beach roads, sealed and unsealed shared paths for pedestrians and cyclists once again, well, as they did in the later jobs. 14 bridges, which is quite a few, several kilometres of underground and open channel drainage works, and extensive tree planting. Tree planting was carried out by Aboriginal horticultural trainees, school children and community groups, as well as landscaping contractors. And they're all involved in planting more than 500,000 trees, shrubs and ground covers. The Southern Expressway is Australia's first fully reversible flow arterial expressway, responding to peak traffic demands in the morning, one way, and to flow into the city the other way in the afternoon, away from the city. A sophisticated traffic management system had to be installed, including video monitors, in-road sensors, to allow a single operator and Transport SA's Traffic Control Centre to change the signs, the variable message signs and the barriers, and to reverse the traffic flow at the scheduled times. And I think what happened in the afternoon, midway through the day, they'd have an hour to make sure the road's all clear, then they'd switch it around. And that happened every day for quite a few years. The 3 environmental management plans, one for each for the design, construction and operational phases of the project, were prepared to set environmental objectives and measures of compliance the project had to meet. At a practical level, noise, vibration, water quality and dust suppression were all monitored and controlled. Temporary silt fences and sedimentation bases were constructed on site, and on-site clay was used to line many permanent wetlands. A commitment to environmental issues was recognised by the Australian civil construction industry, with the project winning the South Australian Category 3 section, projects greater than 10 million, in the, back then it was called the KCF Awards, but that was by the CCF, the civil contractors. Retaining walls were used extensively in this project, with a mixture of reinforced earth, timber crib and alum block walling selected to support the bridge abutments and steep excavated areas. These walls, apart from providing noise attenuation and structural support, also visually enhanced the main alignment of the corridor. Although this project has taken 20 months to complete and has seen the joint venture team endure the wettest winter and the driest summer in 100 years, the final result has seen the completion of an outstanding transport and community facility. And I believe it also won an engineering award as well. Okay. I can get this at the end. Oleana Waters, just out of Gawler here. That's the aerial photo. I don't know, so I have to go by memory on this one. Click to the next slide, Paul. Water features. We've built a lot of water features over the years. We've done a really good one at West I was going to put in tonight as well, but you've seen enough earthworks and I don't want to bore you with 10 different water features. Springbank Water's our own project, had water features. But this one's a little bit special because it was originally designed, I think, to be one type of concrete. I can't remember if it was all poured in situ or something like that. And our guys thought, well, let's think outside the square. We got half the job precast off-site and then combined it with concrete poured in situ on-site to speed it up and make construction easier. And yeah, it's turned out really well. And every time I drive past it, I try and make sure the water's flowing. Because occasionally I've driven past it, it's not flowing, and I feel like, who do I ring? The next day you go back and it's working again, so obviously someone must look after it. Ollie Underwater's.
Is that from recycled water or?
It's site stormwater and retention.
What
I think originally they probably top it up out of SA water mains, but you know, just to make it look pretty.
Do they use aquifers?
No, it doesn't recharge, no. It's not an aquifer recharge, I don't think. I think it just stores it and then overflows. Now it's got some random photos. That's Modbury Hospital. We've done a lot of work over the years at Modbury Hospital. That's probably Department of Housing and Construction again, I suppose. I think there's a couple of machinery photos coming up.
Have you still got that car? I'm a bit of a car buff, so.
I wish I did. Actually, I had number 32 for a while. Well, I borrowed 32 and took some guilt in the driving. That's another story. I think, believe it or not, I think that's meant to be Golden Grove, but I don't think it is. That's a company cars we used to have, the old wagons. Do you remember those, Roo? And we had cargo excavators back in the day. Scrapes of no cabs. Luxury.
Who's driving?
Whatever, no?
Ian
No, it's not Lionel.
Is that Ian Clarkson?
No, it's not Clark. The Undercoder, that was a big beast. Looks like an effluent scheme or a drainage job somewhere. Oh, back in the old days, you didn't have to worry about wearing a shirt. And being a truck driver,
Stubbies. Wearing stubbies.
he snags, and I think he's got thongs on as well, just to make things even worse. You can't do that nowadays. That's good. That guy's he's a barnet. I reckon. Oh, another Department of Transport job. I only got a couple of photos of this one. And that's Port Wakefield. You know, that's recently all been redone again. Before it was redone, we've already done it once as well. So there's just a few photos of Port Wakefield Road in the township. That's where all the servos are. That's when we done it in the old days, when you had steel things instead of soft plastic. And our favourite pug mill that seems to get around a bit, used it on quite a few jobs.
What does it do?
It mixes material and adds the right moisture content. And if you want to add cement stabiliser, you can put cement in there, like the bulk silo. That silo there with the pond cement, and this is where your rubble goes in and mix the two together. And the right amount of moisture. You can do cement treated pavements, or if you want, you could. We use it in the Gawler River here behind Steinborn and Holden to do earth walling to keep the banks from eroding. We mix clay with cement, just pure clay from the river, mixed it with cement and then brought it back and placed it.
Handles
It's still
floods.
there today. It handles floods, yeah. And you can also probably do the same with lime stabilising, whatever. That's just a bit at the end where it's kind of finished product. Oh, here we go. Another job that's everyone would know fairly well, the Yuleberry landfill.
Oh.
That was building that originally. It was an old, I think it was a Boral quarry site up at Yuleberry. We done a lot of crushing and blasting and a lot of clay carding and conditioning. And we had to put, probably should talk about the technical side of it. But it had a 300 millimetre thick clay, low permeability clay, as well as engineered liner. The engineered liner was HDPE and geofabric. So normally you have a clay liner or you have a fabric liner. This had both because it was having rubbish and waste. They didn't want stuff leachating into the groundwater. So it had above and beyond normal requirements. It was designed for a 16-year lifespan and it's still going at the moment.
What happens after 16 years?
After 16 years, or when it's full, it'll be tidied up on top, rehabilitated with a nice soil cover, tree planting, and it'll become a big reserve.
And then it will make methane.
And it still makes methane at the moment already, yeah. Methane collection systems installed.
Oh, they really?
Yeah. And it's also got its own, any bad water that soaks down is taken away, and it's got its own site basins that store it, called leachate ponds. So they've all been built as well, further up the hill.
That's a bale filler, or is it?
It's like a bale fill, yeah. You'll see that in a minute, it comes up. That's the first bale that's ever placed on the job, the first truckload. It was placed by subcontractors for Norma. And later in its life, LR&M not only built it, placed it, we also started carting the bales as well with our own trucks. So I used to see them going up and down Main North Road between Edinburgh North and the landfill.
And Diamond Brothers trucks go up and down there now.
Yes.
Is that?
Yeah.
Ah, there you go.
Is that the water thing at Wingate Road?
No, that's
Just off
different again.
Two Wells Road?
No, that's part of the Gawler water reuse scheme. Yeah, no, this is at Yuleberry.
Oh, sorry.
So if you're going up Main North Road and you look up the hills, you can see it. It's got a heap of solar panels on it now as well, for generating solar power. That's in the early days. It's a bit fuller since. We've got fuller. That's the original guys carting the bales with their Norma and Blazon trucks.
What do they do with the methane?
Methane, it's for electricity production.
They do use it.
I'm not sure if they're using it or if they've just got to, burn it off until they're ready. But I think they've got an on-site generator actually. They power their side outs and all that, all powered by on-site methane. Forgot about that. And that's when the trucks got better. And of course, the Norma disappeared and somehow our logo appeared on them.
Is that logo?
Since they were our trucks. And this is getting near the end of the big long spill. There's our Norma trucks there, and there's our main transport float over the other side.
Have you still got those? You still do that delivery?
No. We've got a 5-year contract. After 3.5 years of losing money, Cedar wanted it. I couldn't give it to them quick enough. But they didn't take our Fuso trucks. They only took the wingliner trailers because they're special trailers. And you've got to order them in advance, and they needed to take over quickly. So we ended up selling one of those, and it went to Sydney. And the other one's just been sold just recently as we've downsized. And the new Volvo excavators, we see the mast on the back. It's got 3D GPS, so the machine knows where it is on every job and what the batter is and where the pipe's going. Getting smarter and smarter, these guys. And trouble is it costs more every time you get smarter.
Does it come with PlayStation?
One day they'll probably have no operators. Who knows? That was a new tipper we bought, and that was behind the Fuso for a while. And when things slowed down, we put it behind our Volvo, which was made the operator very happy. It's a new loader, 70H. Oh, and that's the last slide in this group, and that's the LR&M 50-year book. Some of you may or may not have seen or may have a copy of. Bob Osborne, and obviously John. It was part of our 50-year celebration. We made wine. We produced a book which took a lot of effort from a lot of people. And we also had a big event up at... Yeah, we had a book launch in the Valley, and that's the day South Australia lost its power and the total state blackout. So that event had to be cancelled and done later. So that was a bit of a bugger. And we had another big event at the International Wine Centre, or the National Wine Centre in Adelaide. And we also had one at Adelaide Oval with the CCF, where they gave us an honour for our 50 years. Which I did have some photos of, but I didn't include them tonight.
Is that the last photo, is it?
That's the last photo of that lot. All right. So we can move on to, we might have a quick, do you want to do the video bit?
Yes, all right.
Do the little video.
That'll be it, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting a bit better now.
It's just starting to get a bit long, isn't it? I knew it would be. Sorry about that, guys.
That was brilliant. All right, now which one of these is the bottom one, is it?
The blue one, actually. If you play the blue one, then later you can do the bottom one, just let it scroll in the background as we pack up. Because that's the most important part of our company, is our people. And that's it's just a PowerPoint presentation of lots of photos of past and present people of LR&M and photos of the handful that's left as we wind down. So just double click on that. Just double click on the.
I have. Doesn't seem to be wanting to go.
Double click over on that one.
Yeah,
Double quickly.
with the right
Right click.
click. That's it.
Think about it.
It's a very slow computer. No, it doesn't want to do it.
Done it?
Jack.
Oh,
Okay.
I could have bought my laptop. Remember that.
Right click on it to say
I've done that.
Does it say play anywhere here?
Open is the only thing to be.
No, none of it works.
Which one? Something happening. Here we go. Oh, excellent. Our tech geek.
I always had a sand pit as a child because my dad was a sand contractor and he carted sand, and of course I had sand, used to cart bricks. I used to make bricks out of mud, and then with more mud make water and build it in the house. Family is very important. When we first started the company, I worked with Dad and Mum. Along the way, 50 years later, it's still a family company. I think anyone in civil, like LR&M, when you've built a lot of projects over 50 years, and most of them you can be proud of, and they have a benefit to society, whether it be ovals, whether it be wetlands, infrastructure, or whether it be residential subdivisions, you can be proud that you've created employment or you've built a facility that's a benefit, so that makes you proud. Can't help but go past different areas, particularly larger projects, and not think about it. Then I have a sand pit as well with trucks, as you can imagine, toy trucks and loaders, because Dad had trucks and loaders. And I've never grown up, and once you get dirt under, you're thinking, no, you'll never get rid of it. You see opportunities, you grab them, you have your highs, you have your lows. To reach 50 years is a hell of a milestone, and I'm very proud of it.
Brilliant. Excellent. All right. Thank you very much for that, Rob. I appreciate that. That was brilliant.
Thank you very much. Time to break now.
Well, it was good. Now, on behalf of the Gawler History team, as a thank you, we'll give a little gift basket. So,
well, thank you very much.
So, thank you very much. And once again, lend a hand to Rob. Thank you.